we've gotten to know one of their, I guess, competitors in the field called Unbabel, which is based in Portugal. It's a translation service as well. And one of the things that they told us was that, you know, at the heart of it is you need to remember to have empathy, to be empathetic for the way, for people's needs, and to understand that people work differently and think differently around the world, and you need to be able to understand that in order to do business effectively. I wanted to turn now to Mr. Shih Ping Liu, who's the General Manager of Technology to the Shanghai Business Center for Siemens China. And you know, from Siemens' perspective, could you describe your approach to partnerships with startups?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me into this panel. It's my third time to be here. I was born in Taiwan and grew up in Taiwan, living in the States for about 20 plus years, and then in Shanghai for the last 10 plus years. So we started to work closely with Taiwanese startup companies about 2 years ago, and it was really made quite good progress in the sense of finding many opportunities here. So let me start by saying a little bit about the Intel. We also, Siemens has a venture capital group, but we also have a very unique organization. It's an organization I'm part of. It's the technology to business, because in the TTB approach, we use the partnership concept. And partnership and investment are two different vehicles that we use to work with startup companies. So what is our mission? Our mission is very simple. We want to bring external innovation into Siemens by finding all the possible ways to collaborate in that process through the partnership. So if you look at Siemens as a company, we are a platform company. So basically, you can imagine there are many ways that can work with Siemens. One way is you have a technology that help improve the performance or reliability of Siemens products. So that's definitely one possibility. And the other is that if the technology is part of the core business of Siemens, we'll be interested also to work with them to co-develop the technology. And the third, which is also very interesting for us, we start to look into that more closely, is the downstream. So if you look at the technology that uses our platform and or to create a new demands or different requirements for our platform, and in a market that we are not in, that would be something we'd be very interested. So there are many, many ways that we interact with the startup companies. And so what we do, typically we look around, we have established a local ecosystem. So we'll work with incubators, venture capital firms, government organizations to identify interesting and promising startup companies, and that has relevance to Siemens business. When I say relevance, I mean the in a much broader sense, relevance. And then we will do next is we try to identify the technology and the business model gaps. Because typically there is a gap between what the startup has to offer and what Siemens business would be looking for. And as you know that in majority of the businesses, Siemens are either number one or number two. So we do have very high expectation in terms of the technology that we want to work with. So first to identify the gaps, and if after identify the gaps we feel that it's still very interesting, then what we do is we will work with the startup company, TTB organization, to help bridge the gap, and to a point that we can present the technology or the business model to the Siemens business units. And then, of course, before we do that, we already contact them to get their initial inputs. So our job is really to help the startup company to bridge their technology and business gap, to find a person in the Siemens business unit that they can talk with, because it's also very difficult for small companies to get to know how to interact with a large company like Siemens. And then, in order to do that well, we have a global setup. So we have a first office in Silicon Valley, as it was established already in 1999. And remember, this was the year that was even before the establishment of the concept called open innovation, because open innovation was officially made known around 2000 or 2001. And Siemens was already 2 years before that. So we were very, very advanced and forward-looking, if you were to say, because we realized very much at that time that no matter how much you do in Siemens, you're still limited in the sense that you still want to look for outside to see what is really available, what can really help Siemens and also, of course, help the startup company as well at the same time. That's why we established the office in Silicon Valley already in 1999. And the Shanghai office was established in 2005. So I moved from US to Shanghai and we set up the office in Shanghai. And then the Munich office was set up the last, which was in 2012. So we have a really global setup. As you probably all know, that there are very different characteristics of these three regions. For example, everybody knows that Siemens, as in Germany, is very good engineering. So, and often we over-engineer a lot of things. But the quality, the reliability of Siemens product is well known to everybody. So Germany has a very strong engineering capabilities. And China, or the Greater China region, we have a very good supply chain. So if you want to do anything, you can easily find a complete supply chain here. And then particularly in China, it has a big market in the sense, it's a market that you can actually launch your product before your product is officially, or you feel you are completely ready. Because you can get a lot of feedbacks already from the market before you actually figure out what direction you want to go. And US, of course, is very simple. You have a lot of creativity there. You have a very strong Silicon Valley ecosystem, and you have a lot of money, the venture capitals there. So this is very simple. So in our way, our thinking is we'd like to leverage these three locations and take technology or startup from anywhere in the world, and then leverage these three locations, the strength of the three locations, and then develop the technology into, from Siemens perspective, into Siemens use. But from the startup perspective, help startup to go global. So this is basically our approach. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Shih Ping.